Hey everyone, welcome to the live stream. I'm Daniel Harmon. I am the creator of Tuttle Twins, the show, and super happy to have you on. Let us know where you are watching from. Go ahead and leave a comment, and let's get the action going in the algorithm. This is how Facebook and YouTube start deciding that this is a video that other people want to see. It's when you guys comment. So go ahead and throw some comments in there of where you are watching from. And we're really excited today. A couple big announcements. One big one in particular. Some of you might have already seen some announcements on our pages earlier. And also we've got Justin, who is our lead character designer, who will be joining us a little bit later. And we'll see some of these comments starting to pop up here. Okay, so we've got Alex from Oregon. Thank you for joining us, Alex. We've got Trevor, the moon. Trevor's watching for the moon. That's pretty cool. He gets the furthest away award by a long shot. No one's going to beat that one unless someone's on Mars. We got Noah from Michigan. Parker from Boise. All right. Idaho representing as always. Connie is walking. Oh, she's saying, taught this as a class at my homeschool co-op. Okay, cool. Connie, I'd love to know where you're watching from as well. Okay, so... Gosh, my eyesight, this typing is very small, but Revol from Florida. Amanda is from Key West. Wow. Andrew from North Carolina. Michael from Mississippi. Wow, Bosnia? Is someone watching from Bosnia? That's amazing. Well, welcome everybody from Ohio. Oh, Connie, you're from Ohio. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for commenting on there. So for those of you that haven't yet, we're in the middle of trying to fund the rest of season 1 through investments in crowdfunding at TuttleTwins.tv. And as a little bit of an update, we've now crossed 1.3 million on this round. With what we did last fall, which was 1,070,000. The two combined together have now made us the #1 crowdfunded kids show in world history, which is amazing. We even passed, there was a project that was done in France. It was Wakfu, wasn't it? We even passed that one. So we are now the #1 crowdfunded kids show in the history of the world. So applause to you all for your investment. Thank you so much for confidence in doing this. And we are getting closer and closer to that goal of 2.7 million on this round in order to have a full 12 episode first season. So we're super excited about that, and thank you to all of you that have invested. We'll be calling out a few of you a little bit in a moment here, but for those of you that haven't yet, make sure you like this video. Go ahead and get a reaction on there if you're on Facebook, and make sure to comment with any questions that you might have about the campaign. And also we're going to need some questions coming up for Justin, our lead character designer, as well. But that'll be a little bit later. We'll introduce him in a minute. Okay, so Ashley from Texas invested $250. Thank you, Ashley, for that. That's amazing. Alexander from Georgia invested $250. It's awesome. I've known that's kind of a popular investment thing. I keep looking off this way. Jared, who runs this stuff, is over here, so that's why I look over here. Danielle from North Carolina invested $250. My namesake, awesome. I actually have a daughter named Danielle as well, so that's kind of fun. Jarrett from South Carolina, $500. Thank you, Jarrett. We're up to 44 viewers now, which is awesome. Keep commenting and liking and sharing. That's how we get this seen by more people. Joshua from Pennsylvania, $132. Thank you, Joshua. And James from Colorado, $250. That's awesome. Really appreciate it. Again, the website is TuttleTwins.tv. I'm David from Florida, $2,000. Thank you, David. That's so great. We actually had someone earlier today that did $20,000. So that was amazing. Thank you for that investment. But again, we're over 1.3 million on this round, and with all combined, we are now the #1 crowdfunded kids show ever. So that is a pretty big accomplishment. It's all thanks to you. And that means we're really close as well to getting to our 9th episode. We feel pretty confident in being able to get all the way to 12 episodes, but it's going to need a big push here at the end because we have 15 days left. Is that what it is? So we have 15 days left for people to be able to invest. So if you have a neighbor, a friend, a family member that you think would be interested in a project like this that's trying to teach kids principles of freedom, get the word out to them, let them know so that they can invest before the opportunity's up. So If we can go ahead and get past, let's just say past, what do we need to pass? 50 viewers or 60? How do we need? Okay, 55. We can get past 55 viewers at one point. Then we're going to show a little bonus clip. After we're done with Justin, it'll be another portion of the animatic that we were showing from last week. So that'll be cool. If you guys can get us there, that'd be amazing. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest today, who is Justin. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, Justin, because I always forget how it is. Is it Runfola? You pronounce it for me.
Hey, what's up, Dan? That's actually the Italian way to say it. The Sicilian way. Runfola, but it's Justin Runfola. Glad to be here. How's everybody doing? Good to see everybody. And just real quick, super duper thanks to everybody who's thrown some cash in on this project. It's so cool to see everybody, $500 here, whatever. Oh my gosh, to fund this project that, I've been working on with these guys for a while now. It's just really cool to see. So thanks everybody. That's really awesome.
Yeah, it's super inspiring. So Justin, again, is our lead character designer on Tuttle Twins. He designed Emily, he designed Ethan, he designed Derek, Copernicus, Grandma, and Corinne. So all kind of our main cast of characters he's designed. We've had other character designers that have done other characters within the series, but as far as like our main cast, that kind of look and feel that we established with those big almond-shaped eyes and well, there's Ethan right there. There's Emily. This is kind of Justin's genius that he's brought to this, and it's been a real pleasure to work with him. And actually, so I found Justin on Instagram. He's pretty active on Instagram about posting different projects and things that he's working on, or even just like almost both like your professional work as well as like your hobby work, right? You're always you're just always drawing. You are an artist, and here's some of Justin's stuff. This one is it's a Hansel and Gretel thing, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's the witch's gingerbread house.
Yeah, it's really beautifully done. I mean, he's very talented, and man, that makes me hungry right now. Okay, tell us a little bit about this one.
So this was for the Hansel Storybook project, and it was basically just like a collection of artists who were kind of asked to throw their ideas in about what their interpretations of, that classic Hansel and Gretel story. So I was into the gingerbread house, and that's what I wanted to do. So I went
awesome. For it. It's super cool. Yeah, you have a really good handle on color as well. Do we have another one even that we're going to show here? Okay. Yeah, and this one, I forget what this one was. This one was from...
This was for a book that I'm working on right now with an author by the name of Sean Olson, and we're basically kind of doing this little story about this little alien who kind of crash lands to Earth and meets a young girl, and she kind of shows him the ropes, and it's about like differences and how no matter what galaxy you're from, you're welcome, and
awesome.
You're special.
That's awesome.
So this was a piece, little quick spread here from the book.
Oh, from the book. Okay, so one of the pages of the book, and then you've worked on some stuff here for Disney Junior. It's Pet Pals, right? Is the name of this series?
Puppy Dog Pals.
Puppy Dog Pals. Sorry.
Yeah.
Pals. And then the other one was Nickelodeon, right? That was the
Nick Jr.'s Santiago of the Seas. Yep.
Yep.
Really fun show.
Yep. And then this other one is
The Great North. That's
right. That's the Great North.
Yeah. Did some background work, some paintings, and development work for that show. So yeah, it's all been a fun ride.
And in fact, yeah, you mentioned you do some background, you do development, you've probably even done some props and things like that. But specifically, you focused in on character design. That's obviously your passion. That's more of what you post on your Instagram. But tell us a little bit about you, where you came from, how you got into art.
Well, I have been doing art since I've been able to do art. I grew up in the 90s. So when I was a little kid and, I was kind of like doing the last half of my dad's shift, I was hanging out with him in the break room, and he used to be a jeweler. So I used to hang out in the break room, and they had all that computer paper that like was an accordion. The old school computer paper.
Yeah.
80s, 90s kids knows what's up with that. And so I would just take that paper and like I would draw these kind of underwater scenes, and I would move it on over and just keep going. And so like, storytelling and narrative kind of vibe has always been in my work. I've done some just like standalone stuff, but usually like when I think of things to draw and when I do draw and stuff, for work and for my own time, it's always kind of got like a story in, I always got a story in mind. Like, oh, this dude's, a loner, and, he's been cast out of his little tribe and he's kind of doing stuff on his own. It doesn't matter. I always kind of throw that in there. And, so I was very fortunate enough to have parents who kind of saw the fact that I just didn't stop drawing. And so they helped me with a lot of opportunities. When I was younger, they gave me the opportunities and I super ran with it. And, then I ended up going to college at Ringling College of Art and Design in Sarasota, Florida. And, I got my bachelor's degree in illustration, and I was an editorial illustrator for quite a few years before I got into animation. But I had a really good friend, Nikki Lopez, who's actually the creator of Santiago of the Seas. She was like, Justin, you got to get into animation. And at the time I was living in New York on the East Coast. And I did my best to kind of build a portfolio. I came out and visited, to LA, and, I went to an art expo kind of convention for animation specifically. And I kind of fell in love from there. So I came back home to the East Coast, and I just was like looking at all the art of, Disney books. And I've been a Disney fan forever. But like, all the art of like, Wreck-It Ralph is one of my favorites. And I just look at the kind of artwork that they were doing. And so I would start to like, add my own stuff and do my own like stories and kind of create my own character lineups and poses and, expression sheets. I love stuff like that. And so, I got my first gig, and from there, basically, I've just been kind of like working my way through the industry, messing with really cool projects and meeting really cool people. And it's a lot of hard work, and it's very competitive. And, there's a lot of, not so good times where you're not working. But I've been really fortunate enough to hop on the Tuttle Twins train here for, almost a little over a year now, maybe.
A year now that we've been working at it. Yeah.
So, that's great. That's great as an artist to have that kind of stability. And again, very fortunate to kind of be able to throw down with these guys and, let me do my thing, as well. Great ideas. That's a big part of what I do too, and why I pick the projects I do. Working well with people who have like really clear direction and who have like creative thoughts. I like creativity. Things can get pretty watered down pretty quick, and and that's cool in the gang too. But I really like to pick the projects where people are about cultivating a lot of creativity and just letting it go and having fun with it. Because cartoons are cartoons. They should be fun and crazy and wild, and you're the ruler of what it looks like. You're the ruler of what your characters are doing. So I think that I like working with people who really want to kind of run with really fun ideas. I like doing that. But yeah, that's about it, in a nutshell. Really.
A couple comments coming in here. Some people saying stellar work.
Thank you.
And then also, let's see here. So a couple things real fast I wanted to get to on the question. So you mentioned the competitiveness of character design, right?
Yeah.
Specifically, character design is one of the more competitive fields within illustration.
Oh yeah.
And and you started in editorial. Describe what that is for those of us that aren't.
So I graduated with a BFA in illustration, and I have a minor in graphic design. So I like doing a lot of typography stuff, and for a couple of shows, I have done some title cards, which are basically like, the titles of the episode, like Crazy Baby Day or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I did a lot of stuff for a lot of like preschool shows. Anyway, so that kind of like helped, that kind of like schooling and practice was brought over to animation, even though it's not necessarily like, I did some logo work, but anyway, editorial illustration is basically stuff that's in magazines. So artwork
right?
Yeah, artwork that accompanies an article or something like that. I also did a lot of portrait work for Adweek. So like I would do all these like Fortune 500 people, stuff like that. It was cool and all. But I think the real reason why I kind of shifted gears was because my style was always changing and it was always different. It wasn't like so much of a brand, which is what a lot of illustration work for that is good for. And, I kind of found myself going like, where can I live that's not just, hey, dude, stick to this one style and kind of roll with it. I kind of just don't do that. And that's perfect for animation because there's all sorts of different cartoons with all different styles.
Well, and that's one of the things I appreciate the most of your work, Justin, is that when we ask for concepts on a character, you give us very different looks at a character. Like
it's important to explore.
Yeah. So it's not all just kind of the same with just a little bit different eyes, a little bit different, hair or whatever. But it's like really different looking characters, and that's super helpful for me as a director to be able to kind of choose and be like, oh, that opened my mind to a different way of thinking of the character than what I had thought about. And so I super appreciate that.
Man, there's vast, endless like
possibilities,
possibilities for characters. And sometimes, usually with television, it just kind of comes down to like time and but at the same time, I know we spent some time on the main characters, really kind of fine tuning their facial features to fit their ethnicity and things like that. And I think that, it's important. I kind of design the way I would want to, get designs, what I would want to see, kind of a range of different shapes, body types, ethnicities, and because that's what the world is. And since we're dealing with, kids and people, it's important to kind of show everybody.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. So I think what people want to see more than anything than my questions is just to watch you draw. And that's going to be part of this. And you have limited time as well with us. So if you want to switch over to sharing your screen.
Yeah, sure.
And, Justin's going to draw a couple of the characters that you guys have already seen and kind of show how he goes about doing that and to kind of talk us through it. And then he's also going to kind of take a stab at drawing an original, or at least a concept for original character for an upcoming episode that we have. It's episode 5 that we do. Yep.
Cool.
Spoilers.
Right. No spoilers.
Not super spoilers. Okay.
Cool. Well, okay, cool. Well, again, thanks everybody for tuning in, and thanks for listening to me talk about my art life or whatever. And so I guess I'll just show you guys some really simple ways to draw Ethan and Emily. They're broken down into shapes, really. That's kind of how I approach everything. Depending on the character's personality and the information given to me by the director. And basically we just kind of work together on, figuring out what their ideas are going to be interpreted into like designs, kind of successful for their ideas, Yeah. So anyway, if you guys can see my screen, you guys can see my screen. Yeah,
we're good.
Okay, cool. So Emily is, she's a very just outside of the box thinker and very confident. So I think like, and she's also a good guy, you know, and shapes
Yeah.
actually.
She wants to be good. Uh-huh.
Yeah, shapes actually can portray different types of personalities, and Emily's kind of got like a very like circular kind of round features because she's just like really positive, and circles and things represent positivity and stuff like that. So it's very scientific, very psychological, but I hope you guys understand. Anyway, so with Emily, like basically you always kind of want to start with like a circle. Is this like coming through?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Zooming in's great. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then basically what I like to do most of the time is throw down this line, and that's usually called my line of action. It's either it helps me show the posture or the positioning, the posing that I'm going to do the character. And we're just going to stick with Emily's like neutral pose. Okay. So she's like a square, or she's like a circle. And then she's kind of got like she's brought into a little bit more of like an almondy, kind of like a sideways almond kind of thing. And then basically she's just like kind of a triangle down below. Mm-hmm. And her dress kind of goes, you know, it's a little bit of ellipsis there, not really a straight line because that kind of flattens out the characters. The more volume you can show through 2D, the more believable and the more like accurate the characters are going to look. So then she's got these kind of like two little legs, you know, not too crazy. Some sneakers. Okay.
Yep.
And she's got a little lab coat, and we're going to put those two lines in between our regular, like our lateral line. We're going to kind of come down here, do another one of these, which is her coat, kind of connect them from the top. Mm-hmm. And then with Emily's hair, she's got like a little part, so it's asymmetrical, and it's kind of like a big S. And then her hair wraps around like this, and then she's got the other piece of her hair that wraps around like that. And Emily's eyes are really unique to her because she's got a little bit of a Hispanic heritage, and I wanted to play with the shapes of her eyes and make sure that they weren't something that was, you know, a little generic, and just really kind of like really get into the minutia of what like could help portray that other than skin tone or things like that. Mm-hmm. So she's kind of got these eyes that are a little bit up. Just a nice dark here. And she's got a cute little nose that kind of points up. Mm-hmm. And a fun side smile. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's pull this up a little bit more. Oh, yeah. No perfectness here.
That's right.
Always erasing.
This is the way it goes.
Okay. And we're going to lift this up a little bit more, too. Again, I'm just kind of like trying to get those little shapes that she's got.
Yep. Yeah, it's super cool to watch the process come together because, like you said, there's like no perfect line on the first try, right?
Oh, no, yeah. It's always kind of pushing and pulling and doing things like that, moving them around, moving lines around. And, you know, that's essentially what we're always doing. You know, you come up with some ideas, but then you guys are like, hey, what about this? Well, I like this jacket. I like this kind of thing. So that's the fun part. That's kind of like the icing. But these shapes are basically her shapes. And let's go ahead and give her some arms. I'm going to have her arms crossed. And she has a little collar, and we're going to go ahead and put it right there with her neck. And not too last, she's got her hair and her sleeves here. Her little hand sticking out. She's got a cool pocket protector with a couple of pens in there. Because, I mean, how sciencey can you be without that cool stuff?
I'm real fast. I'm going to hit you with a question from somebody that's coming through. They said, the show would be great. I'm learning video game development on my own. I was wondering if Justin is available to make 2D characters and backgrounds.
Oh, I guess you can just email me, bro. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the best email to hit you at?
It is Justin JUSTINRUNFOILL@gmail.com.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyway, our hair might be a little bit too long here, but we're kind of doing this together. Yeah. So in a nutshell, that's like a little M sketch, and she's got some other things that we can kind of tighten up. Like her T-shirt runs here, but again, just kind of laying it in, and this would be kind of like a basic, just kind of sketch of Saki's leggings, some sneaks, and
super cool.
Yeah, I mean, let's play with that mouth a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Emily, she's a cool chick. Emily. She's really just, she's Emily. What can you say, man? She's
awesome.
Yeah, cool. And then so Ethan.
Yep, let's do another one.
Ethan's not too much. He's not too different, they're brother and sister, so there's got to be some similarities. And I think the biggest thing we kind of like landed on was that they should kind of have the same eyes shape, which is, pretty common with a lot of people. So anyway, Ethan, we're going to start the same way. We're going to do a circle action here. Okay. And again, my line of action is going to kind of go down the middle, maybe a little bit bowed because he is not like, he doesn't have a tummy, but he's a little silly, so his posture is going to be a little silly too. Emily's very kind of like up front, so her posture is going to be a little bit better than her brother's. Okay, so we got that, and he's kind of got the same vibe too a little bit. He's got a little triangle vibe with his little shirt, and he's got these cool little shorts. Okay, and again, like if you can see this is like all just pretty much just the shapes, and that's again how all this stuff is built up. We don't go in, I don't go in and kind of like do the eyes first and this and that. It's always better to kind of start with these big solid shapes. That way you can see like where your character's going. It's always best to start from general to specific. Yeah. So he's got little shorts here, and he's got cool little thick legs. And most of the time I kind of draw all the way through to see like where those legs are. Let's see. So this is his head, and he's got kind of a cool little messy mop. And it's going to kind of come up a little here, and then cruise down. Let's get his eye line going here. He's got a cool ear. Cool dude.
Yeah.
And he's got his little cheek there. They both kind of got these cheeks. His is just a little bit more chubbier than hers. But they both kind of come to a point.
Good designs like this are all about good foundations, right? Like those foundational shapes are huge.
Yeah, well, it basically just kind of like helps you identify the characters because Copernicus has got a whole other different shape going on. Yeah. And actually, let's do this. Let's have his hands, his pockets. Yeah. So, oops, that's not what I want. But yeah,
an interesting tidbit that I'll kind of talk through is one of the things is as far as like the size of the height of the character overall ends up being their body is about how did you put it? It's like their head ends up being 1/3 of their body size, right?
Well, sometimes it's best to do some measuring. If you're very early in the kind of like stages, I wouldn't bother too much with it. But essentially, yeah, I mean, it's important to kind of understand how tall the characters are with a lineup. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just their proportions. Like our head would be, what is it? A standard human head is about 1/6 the size of the body, or what is it? What's the standard on that?
I don't know, dude.
I remember something like that for my figure drawing classes back in the day.
Oh
But
yeah.
this is more of an exaggerated features, right? It's a head that ends up being about the size.
Yeah. The Tuttle Twins. Most of these kids kind of have a little bit of a different body proportions, in our universe.
Yep.
Maybe give them a little, hey man, what's going on? And he's got cool sneaks that are, again, just like, not too crazy. Just a couple, just some simple shapes.
So cool.
And,
so cool to watch this.
Yeah, just kind of doing his thing.
Yeah, I love it. It's so awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, more or less,
Someone says this is so cool.
Playing with them a little bit, These are just some quick sketches, but basically, they are the Tuttle Twins.
There you go. Awesome. So I know you've got limited time, so let's go ahead and take a look at. I know you got to go in like 8 minutes. Is that enough time to play with that other character?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay, so
brand new character. I've never seen this before.
Okay, you want to set it up? Do you want to set it up?
Well, okay, yeah. So there is in episode 5, the Tuttle Twins are going to visit the mythical lost city of Atlantis. Okay, there's a special reason behind that, and so we've been looking at some ancient. He's basically, Justin, you've kind of pulled together some references of kind of the way, like this was a myth that came from Plato, right?
Yes, yeah. So yeah, and basically like that's part of my research. Depending on what we're doing, I know I've done some design work of some pretty historical figures in the past for upcoming episodes. But basically, I pull as much reference as I can, and that kind of stuff is easy because I can go straight to the person and kind of like find a characterization that fits the show. And again, like you said before, give you a couple options. Like we could go a little sillier. Sometimes I have an option that is kind of like my wild card, which is something a little pushed proportion wise. And sometimes it's a little much. Sometimes it's just what the doctor ordered. You guys are like, oh, so yeah. And I've pulled some reference here, and I think that this kind of Greek Roman kind of vibe is probably a good place to start with this.
Yeah. So go ahead and have at it. In fact, while you're drawing, I'm going to actually do some. Can we do call outs for some more investors? Okay. For again, those that haven't, so you can just go ahead and just start working that thing, Justin.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'll do a couple of drawings and we'll see what's up.
But yeah, I want to do a quick call out for some of the people that have invested. Kaja or KJ, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, from Virginia, invested $250. Thank you. Tony from New England invested $500. I'm sure it's not New England. What does NE stand for? Is that it? New England? Nebraska. That's probably what it is. Nebraska. Okay. Tamara from Illinois invested $105. I used to live in Illinois. Thank you, Tamara. Dana from Texas, $250. Thank you. Again, TuttleTwins.tv for anyone that hasn't had a chance to yet. Jack from Florida, $2,500. Thank you so much for that. That's what makes all this stuff possible. So everything you guys are doing. Tiffany from Washington invested $500. One more. Okay, Paul from New Jersey, $150. Again, TuttleTwins.tv. Cool. So you're working on. We had a 10,000 investor just come in. Oh wow! Thank you. A 10,000 investor just came in. Thank you so much. That's amazing.
That is seriously so cool.
I know. I'm like, I feel the responsibility. We got to make this thing work for everybody. Ryan from Texas, 10,000. That's awesome. Okay, so here we go. So we got a little bit of the that influence from that Greek period, right?
Yeah, so basically I'm just kind of playing with shapes and like figuring out like, like I'm gonna do a guy and a girl real quick.
Yeah.
And so kind of like figure out, exactly like where we want to go with it. And, like so again, these are just like kind of random background characters, street folk or whatever of Atlantis. And they need to be like, pretty like believable, but at the same time, like kind of not that noticeable. Like they should be really backgroundy. So nothing crazy like, crazy, hair or whatever, like things that are pretty generic, pretty simple. So anyway, this is kind of like how I roll. Like we have a little bit of a, like shape stuff here, little suggestion of some costume. But again, like we're not really going like crazy with the cheese whiz on the faces and stuff like that. This is pretty much just for me to like understand like, okay, well, are these shapes working? And then if they do, I'll kind of like pull up another layer on the old Photoshop here, and I'll start just kind of like, kind of going like, okay, well, if these people are from Atlantis, again, like I want to give them like cool eyes or something. I mean, they could even be fish people, but let's just keep them more in a humanoid kind of like thing right now. But basically, I'm going to start with the shape of the head again. Okay, and let's see. I like this girl's kind of hair, and I like it's curly. So I'm going to play with that. And I'm going to give her kind of like these like bigger kind of eyes. And she's from Atlantis, so she's like super chill. She doesn't really need to worry about much. She's like, I live in Atlantis, come on. And I'm going to play with this big shape here because I like this kind of thing. The shawls and stuff. This is really fun. So I'm going to play with that, and then I'm going to have her arm kind of come up here. Okay, it's kind of like chilling. Again, she's from Atlantis, man. Be cool. She's from Atlantis. She's got some bracelets. Let's do that. It's that, And let's do one of these so she's not kind of. And so if you kind of like look at this, like this is kind of like how I roll with the shapes, right? So here's her head, this is her torso, and this is going to be her bottom half. So these shapes are kind of mixed up. And it's always important with character designing, just a little character design tip, for if you have like, and for the proportions that you were talking about before, that you kind of like stay away from proportions that are like this, which are very equal. They're very even. It's not bad. It just kind of makes for something that's just a little bit less like interesting. Whereas if you kind of switch it up and you have like a smaller torso or a longer legs, or shorter legs and like a bigger head or a bigger torso, again, these proportions are going to help you illustrate the type of personality of a person. So a big kind of guy with short legs, or a woman with really long legs, and a big head. But no, you work around. You work with those kind of different proportions. So essentially, this is what I want this kind of woman to be. And then with this guy, kind of give her like a bigger shawl kind of thing. Maybe make it draped down here. That's cool. I like that. Let's start with this. Let's do her feet. Cool sandals, blah blah blah, a little something like that. And with her head, I like this big shape. I like it, so I'm gonna do it. I think I think Dan's gonna like it, so I'm gonna do it. So I got this shape here, and we're gonna pull that down, give a little suggestion of tension because it's kind of wrapped back there. And she's leaned over. Maybe she looks like a little kind of high or drunk. So let's kind of like chill her eyes out just a little bit more. I mean, sure, she's in Atlantis, but maybe we can do a little bit of something halfway.
Maybe not under the influence.
Yeah, she's kind of buying some fish for the market.
Yeah.
So anyway, here's like a basic kind of concept.
Yeah.
This is something I can present. This is something I can kind of say, okay, well, sometimes I like details, so let's push it to the max. How about a little cool kind of headdress? Who knows? She's Atlantean. Maybe a little necklace. We'll do that. Maybe even another necklace, with a little pendant or a medallion or something. So It's just things like that come last to embellish your character, give it personality and kind of history. And with the guy here, let's pretend like this is kind of like an Atlantean kind of like, just regular dude. But, if you're, I don't know, if you're from Atlantis, I guess you could be kind of like chubby, sitting around eating fish sticks all day. But I guess this guy is more of a, I don't want to say soldier, but, he could probably kind of get things done if a great white shark made its way in or something. So I'm gonna play with like, kind of a more square kind of head. I'm gonna give him a little bit of a thicker neck. He's got more of like a bigger chest here. Again, I like this kind of like these draping stuff to kind of get the Roman vibe, which kind of sort of will help us out with the Atlantean fantasy aspect. Let's give him a little ear here. I want to give him like a cool bandana, and I want to give him like some different hair, something a little less Roman and more like fantasy. So I'm just, I mean, it doesn't have to be super original, but I'm just gonna kind of give him like a cool comb over. And again, he's gonna have some curlier hair too. How about that? It's kind of silly, but maybe he's a silly dude. Here's his eyebrows, and his eyes are gonna be a little bit smaller, because he is bigger, and sometimes having big eyes or small eyes on a big body helps sell the largeness of the person. But he's still a nice guy. He's got a smile. Yeah, he's a nice guy. Okay, and then let's see what we got. We got these cool shoulder things, so let's do that. And I like these shapes. I like that. There's some of that going on here in the reference up top. And so I like that. Let's put his arm over here.
Super cool.
Maybe a little something around his, shoulder there. And we're going to pull in. And I'm going to give him another kind of drape thing like hers. Let's kind of erase that. Pull that. There we go. This will be more of his stuff. Let's play with like a I don't know, something cool like up here that's holding it. Who knows? Let's just draw that for now. That's kind of holding his thing, right? So his arm up here. Again, we'll do that, and then let's see. Let's do just like a little. Let's have this thing come out, but we'll give him just kind of like a little tunic thing, some leggies, and then kind of give them some sandals. Again, kind of like, I think that's best for Atlantis people.
Yeah.
And, and that's pretty much solid. So you could kind of argue that, this is pretty general, but that's kind of the assignment for right now. And then basically like we'll kind of go from there, like I'm doing now, just kind of clean it up, cleaning up some stuff. Maybe he's got like a shirt thing going on right here, but either way, again, these are solid concepts that, we can start with. And we can say like, oh, the guy's a little different, or he's not really hitting the mark, and we kind of go from there. But again, the important thing is, which you kind of mentioned before, which is like, having this like these shapes that basically make up your character, and that's all it really kind of starts out with. You guys kind of we pulled the curtain back.
Yep.
That's how it's done.
So someone asks, does using the same shape languages over and over that the characters tend to look samey? Someone's asking that. Jordan is asking.
Using them over and over, do they kind of look samey? I feel like I get that. I think what I was kind of mentioning before is I try not to, I try and change it up.
Change it up.
And it also depends on the type of character. So if it's kind of like a big guy who's like mean, I'm going to probably use like a wide rectangle, and start there. And then usually character design is also a lot about repetition. So, I'll try and use that same shape a little bit smaller for his head. So his head's kind of fat and rectangle. And I can even take that rectangle, widen it out, and make him have short, fat legs. So it's just all about kind of playing with that, depending on the type of character that you're working on.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. Justin, I know you've probably got to go.
It's cool, man. Let's do some questions.
Okay, let's do some more questions. Okay, cool. All right, let's see. What have we got here? Do you want to hit us up on the screen? Some more questions? We can probably switch back over to the view of just us, too. All right. More questions coming in for Justin. Questions on his art, things like that. You looking for him? Okay, Jared's going to post a question here in a second. But how long does it take? I'll ask you one. How long does it take you usually to put together a concept, or maybe like a few concepts for a character design? How much time do you usually try to budget for that kind of a thing?
It kind of differs. It depends really on what I'm asked to do. Like I said, like in the beginning of this, designing these Atlanteans, as reference is like really important. It's very important to use your imagination too. It's very important to kind of like sometimes just go for it and wing it. But most of the time, when you're working for clients, you're probably going to need to do some kind of research, and you need to pull some pretty clear reference that's going to be able to help aid you in the design. And I have a pretty good imagination, or I have a pretty good memory, and I'm sure we all do. That's the thing with art. That's why when people that don't have any artistic like abilities per se, and they say something's wrong with that face, you'd say, well, what do you, did you go to art school? No, but that person, just like all of us, have stared at faces for our entire lives. So we know when something's kind of off, But anyway, back to what I was saying, you really need to kind of like pull some type of reference and do some kind of research on the topic of what you're kind of designing or creating, it's super helpful. For me, it is, definitely.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, what shows inspire your character designs? Jay asks.
What shows? I grew up in the '90s. I'm a '90s kid, so I loved all the Disney Saturday morning cartoons like Gummy Bears and Tailspin, Darkwing Duck.
I love Darkwing Duck and Tailspin.
Oh yeah, and Tailspin's coming back, by the way.
That's awesome.
Things like that. I also loved like really weird stylized cartoons. Like I adored Real Monsters. Real Monsters. I love that show. It was so different and so strange and really cool. So anyway, things like that. I like those old school cartoons, man.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What was the other question that went up, Jared, that I stepped over the top of? You had one here. What is more challenging for him as a character? For him designing characters or props? Challenge.
They both really create challenges. Again, it depends on what it is. I tend to lean towards characters because I have a little bit more passion with that. But every now and then, I do love drawing me a sword on fire or something. It's pretty fun.
Very cool. Any other questions coming in? Here we go. This is a great question from Noah. How did you get your first job as an illustrator?
Oh, as an illustrator. Whew. Man, I gotta tap into the old data banks on that one. That's a way back button right there. Let's see, my first job. Well, oddly enough, it's a lot how the animation industry works. and a lot of creative, niches and things like that work, which is I knew somebody. It was a clothing company, and they were pretty dated. And it was a friend of mine's dad who owned it, who was actually one of the founding members of Oshkosh Bagosh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Were they
And
in Wisconsin?
pardon?
Were they in Wisconsin?
I'm not sure. Like,
okay.
I mean, where I was at the time was New Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah, but so it was a separate thing. It wasn't a part of that company. It was just his own. Yeah, it was kind of his own thing that he started in the late '80s, and it just kind of like didn't really work out. But he wanted to keep it going, so I was hired to do a handful of designs and kind of refresh the brand. And this was in like 2009. So yeah, I kind of spent some time doing that, and that was it. And then wanted to kind of branch out.
Yep, it's all about who you know. Okay, so one last question for time's sake, and then we'll let you go.
Cool.
What do we got here? Hi, Justin. How do you ensure that multiple character designs for the same show feel like they belong in the same universe?
Oh, that's a good question. That's tough, and I think that's part of like why I do well in animation is because I'm able to kind of shift gears like that. And but how to do that? I think it really has a lot to do with really kind of studying the style. Takes a lot of drawings. Some people got the golden touch, and they can kind of look at something and understand it really quickly, and they can kind of go to town, and there it is. And those people are magic. My magic is needs a little bit more elbow grease and a little bit more working out and kind of figuring out, which is what a lot of artists do. There's some magicians out there, but there's very few. Most of us really work hard at kind of just really drawing something, really looking at proportions, looking at the style. If it's 2D, the line weight, what's that look like? There's a lot of do's and don'ts with a lot of different types of cartoons. The way people draw the inside of an ear is really kind of specific, to get down to the, details. But, it's just a lot about kind of really, really, really studying something. And, it's all about practice too. It's literally like 90% of all of this practice and doing it forever, and all the time. So, but yeah. But anyway, I just want to say thanks for having me on, everybody.
Thank you for coming on, Justin. Thank you so much for your time. Really.
Yeah. And thanks again to all the people that have thrown down the funds to help keep the show going. It's awesome.
It's huge. Awesome. Okay.
All
thank
right.
you so much, Justin. We'll see you. Anyway, that was great. Justin's awesome. He's obviously a lot of fun. Someone mentioned in the comments he's like the fun uncle. I think he totally is. He mentioned I forgot if you said he had a niece or a nephew of his sister that comes around. But yeah, he's totally the fun uncle type. So again, those of you who haven't had a chance, TuttleTwins.tv is where you can invest. Again, we're up above 1.3 million. And that's pretty amazing what you're all doing to make this show happen. We're getting really close to that final 12th episode for this first season. Did we go on and just kind of wrap it up for today? Yeah. Okay. So we are trying to get to a certain number of viewers happening all at once. We didn't quite get there. We got really close at one point, but we're going to show more next week. We'll show some more animatic and maybe some more art, some different things. And next week we'll also have one of our writers, Johnny Vance, who's also leads up our marketing for Tuttle Twins. So he's like really stressed out right now trying to make this whole campaign work of getting that 2.7 million funded. But he'll be on next week, and we'll be interviewing him. And we'll talk to you a little bit about his writing process and things like that. So that'll be a lot of fun. And thank you again for those of you that have joined us on this live stream. And yeah,